Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to a fresh new episode of Dodgers Territory on this Monday afternoon, September 23rd. What up? We are your hosts. That is Clint Pasillas. I am Alanna Rizzo. Don't forget to rate us 5 stars, like us, subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Also on YouTube. We appreciate you being here. We have a lot to talk about. Let's get right to it. The Greatest Showman. Dun, da, da, da. The top hat is so appropriate because what a performance, Clint Pasillas. Where were you when Shohei Ohtani hit 50-50?
So it's funny. I talked about this on my show that I do Thursday nights, Monday nights, other things. But I was stuck in the car leaving my regular people job, trying to get home to watch it. And all the stoplights were off for some reason. So I got stuck in traffic. Thankfully, I did get to hear a great call on the radio from Tim Neverett there. And then you eventually get to listen afterwards. But I was stuck in traffic. Not ideal, but he went off. You had a feeling he was going to do it there in Miami. He wanted to get that out of the way.
Wow, he loves playing in Lone Depot Park, does he not?
He does some good work there at Lone Depot Park.
I mean, it was just so impressive to see. I was actually running around the house doing a million things. Obviously, I had the game on in the background, knowing he could very well do it, create the 50-50 club. This thing hit Hialeah. And if you know anything about Miami-Dade County, where Hialeah is in relation to where that stadium is, I mean, he hit this thing 5 billion miles into the absolute abyss. That went into triple deck. I mean, just look at the numbers from that day. He did it in such grand fashion, right? I mean, of course, I would have loved if it was at home, but he had a huge home run at home as well. We'll get into that momentarily. But I mean, 10 runs driven in, 3 home runs, 2 stolen bases, 6 for 6. And I know people were saying, oh, he probably shouldn't have taken the 6th at bat. I was hoping he got the 7th at bat. I was like, let's go. Let's just keep running this up. So congratulations to Shohei Ohtani on what was unbelievable. How about, though, the job that Skip Schumacher did of actually pitching to Shohei? He could have very easily put up 4 fingers, but he didn't. In respect to Shohei and respect for the game.
Much respect to Skip Schumacher there. It's a man who understands baseball, understands the moment, understands that the Miami Marlins are not playing for anything at this point, so might as well give the fans there in the ballpark a show from the Greatest Showman. Impressive stuff from Shohei, a smart baseball mind there in Skip Schumacher. It's what you want to see. And hey, former Dodger great Skip Schumacher, I should say.
Yeah, I came over in that trade, of course, with, by the way, Skip Schumacher was, no, he wasn't in that trade. Anyway, what am I talking about? Here's the deal about this, though. So Max Muncy, and Nick Punto, by the way, Adrian Gonzalez and Manny Ramirez too, right? Or is that a different trade? I'm not good with that stuff. But the point is, Max Muncy, who was just on foul territory, right? Who, by the way, it looks like he's going to be fine. That sore side is just precautionary. It looks like Max is going to be okay. He was telling our boys that on foul territory. But he said everybody in the dugout, Clint, was like looking over at Skip Schumacher, and they could tell that Skip was going to intentionally pitch to Shohei. He was going to go after him. And they had already had a great amount of respect for Shu, but even more so now with the way he handled that situation.
Yeah, I mean, you love what he said. You got to go after him in that spot. All the lip readers in the world were able to kind of mouth what potty mouth Skip Schumacher said in that situation. But again, it's reading the room. It's understanding the situation, knowing that your ball club is not playing for anything. Might as well put on a show with your ball club. And, it started something special for Shohei Ohtani here, Alanna. 14 for his last 18 over his last 4 games. He's hitting 778 with a 2.522 OPS, 5 homers, 2 doubles, 13 runs batted in, of course, 10 on that day there in Miami. You run out of superlatives when you're talking about Shohei Ohtani. He's an animal. He's vicious. He is ready for the postseason for the first time in his career. And I'm very much looking forward to it. We saw it does good things in the spotlight. He knew everybody was waiting for 50-50. You mentioned he does good things there at Lone Depot. He's already won a WBC there in his life. Now he wants to do the next big thing as a postseason player in his major league career.
It's funny because Anthony Castrovence, who does such a tremendous job covering all Major League Baseball for MLB.com, said that we keep comparing Shohei Ohtani to a unicorn, but no, because unicorns don't exist. Shohei actually does exist. And so that was kind of a funny point that Anthony brought up. But we're going to have David Vassegh come on Dodgers territory here momentarily. And you were in the car. I was running around the house and, screaming and jumping when I saw him hit 50. But we're going to talk to Dave because Dave was there at the park and he was there in the clubhouse. And we're going to see what he has to say about that moment and also kind of moving forward in this last week of the regular season. Let's talk about the Rockies series for a hot second. And if there is a home run that maybe was more significant than 50-50 or 52-52 or whatever the heck he's at this point, it's the fact that he had that game tying home run there. And then Mookie Betts, of course, walking it off because Clint, you can ill afford to give up this game to the Colorado Rockies when you are starting a massive series with the San Diego Padres tomorrow.
Yeah, I was at the game yesterday. Absolutely electric ninth inning. The way it was a roller coaster of a game. There was a lot of low in that roller coaster of a game. We'll talk about that lowest point of it in Yamamoto's start in a little bit, but we'll stick positive here. Just the climb there at the end with Ohtani putting the team on his back, and Mookie, as I said in the ballpark, put my arm up, send us home, Mookie. He sent us home. You were 3 outs away from absolute embarrassment, losing two of 3 to the basement dweller Colorado Rockies. Thank God for Shohei Ohtani. Thank God for Mookie Betts. I'm going to do something I don't do very often. Thank God for Kike Hernandez for that 2-run homer in the 7th inning that made it a ball game, or a 3-run homer, whatever it was. It was enough to make it a ball game and set up this team for that success. Also, a small shout out, Ben Kasparius keeping the game within reach for the boys in blue.
Yeah, it was a big deal. I mean, you don't want to go down to the Rockies 2-3. I can understand how it could have been a trap series. They had already clinched a postseason berth, not the division yet, but I can understand that. Obviously, long flight back from Los Angeles, or from Miami rather, back to Los Angeles to start that series against the Rockies. And good for the Rockies for showing up too. I mean, they're not laying down. I mean, they've obviously had a rough year, but they didn't lay down. Let me ask you this about Shohei, though. Is it realistic, Clint, to think he can carry this team all throughout the postseason? You saw what he did there in the 9th. You saw what Mookie did to walk it off. But remember, last year, Freddie and Mookie kind of went silent as far as the offense was concerned. Is Shohei enough? He's got to have support.
He's got to have support. I've said on a number of shows while talking about this kind of thing. I love this lineup because it doesn't seem to rely on the slug. And yeah, all the runs put on the board yesterday were on home runs. But Shohei, like I just said a little bit ago, he's a different animal. He's vicious. He can put this team on its back. And I think that takes a lot of pressure off of Mookie, a lot of pressure off of Freddie, knowing in their heads, they're still going to be thinking about really the last 2 postseason series for this team. Last year was a big fat stinker for the both of them. Shohei can lead, and he's right there at the top of the lineup, being able to lead for this team. He's a difference maker, in my opinion, and you've seen him do it on the big stage. And again, I just said it, you're going to get to see him do it in a postseason series. It's Shohei Ohtani. What can't he do on a mound, in the box? Just put a bat in that hand and let him eat.
Well, he can't take every single at bat, right? He can't. He can't go 1 through 9 as much as it would be cool to see that. And Bugs Bunny just kind of running around the bases with all of that. But I will say this: having Shohei on your team is much better than not having Shohei on your team. And Juan Toribio had a good point too. He tweeted this the other day. There are a lot of things to pick at that aren't working for the Dodgers right now, but they have Shohei Ohtani and Mookie Betts, and other teams don't. That might just be the difference. I would love it though if you could have it all the way down the lineup, even top 3, top 4, top 5. Extend the lineup as long as you can. But he's an incredible player. I mean, we are talking about a once in a lifetime player. I heard Colin Cowherd on Fox say that everybody gave him a lot of pushback when he said that he was better than Babe Ruth, and he's doubling down on it, saying that Shohei Ohtani is better than Babe Ruth. I didn't see Babe Ruth play, but I do know I get to witness what Shohei Ohtani is doing, and it's otherworldly. So to see him do this is incredibly unique, and I feel fortunate that he's on our team. We're going to talk a little bit about Yamamoto coming up. We're still waiting for Dave Vassegh to log on here. So before we move forward, anything else that you take out of the series that were between the Marlins and the Rockies?
I mean, again, you just got to focus on that Rockies series. Credit to them. They are doing their job well as spoilers. Unfortunately, still got to see them one more time in Colorado, which don't get me started on sending another place to the moon. I would send that place, the Coors Field, happily to the moon. I hate that place, but I hope, we're going to talk also, a good bit about the San Diego series. It's arguably the most important series of the year. They keep happening. It's funny how each game is the most important game when you win it. If not, you lose it. It's less important, but taking 2 of 3 against Colorado, you're not going to coast. I'm thankful that this team is playing for something right now, but to have the Padres coming into town, you're kind of have your tails between your legs if you lose 2 of 3, and we know how this Padres team plays the Dodgers. It's the World Series for them.
Sure.
So you needed to win that series at the bare minimum, ideally a sweep. You needed to win that series so you have some sort of momentum going up against this very, very good San Diego Padres club.
Let's talk about momentum here since you brought that up. And then I want to show you a very fun fact that our producer Sarah just brought to my attention. Let's talk about momentum for a second. If you look at the 2 teams, Clint, that were in the World Series last year, the Arizona Diamondbacks lost 3 of their last 4 going into the postseason. The Texas Rangers also lost 3 of 4 to the Mariners, ending the year last year, and ended up giving the Houston Astros the division title. Both of those teams ended up going to the World Series, as we know. So how much value do you put into momentum? Maybe not today on September 23rd, but how much value will you put on it, say Sunday when the regular season ends?
That's a tough question because you've seen particularly this Dodgers club kind of have, I call it no momentum. You think of that 2017 team where they had nothing going for them to end August, and then the end of or to enter September, they lost like 21 games or X amount of 21 games. They just looked really bad, but still. The clock struck October, and all of a sudden they figured out. They pieced the pieces together, put some things together, and made it to a World Series. So for the most part, you want to be firing on all cylinders at the right time for sure. But I don't think it means every single thing. As long as you don't go in flat. Last year we saw the team flat with no pitching. They had a lot of talent on that 2017 team, as you very well know. So it's kind of mixed.
Okay, well, we're going to have Dave Vassegh joining us right after the break, but first let's get a couple of words and a message from Mint Mobile from Scott Braun, AJ Przinsky, and Eric Kratz.
I love a great deal, but I'm not going to run sprints in the outfield just to save a few bucks. It has to be easy. No hoops, no BS. With Mint Mobile, it really is that easy to get wireless for $15 a month with the purchase of a 3-month plan. Purchase and activation is super easy too.
To get started, go to mintmobile.com/territory. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number.
To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/territory. That's mintmobile.com/territory. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/territory.
$45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on their first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details.
Ryan Reynolds is rich AF. We are happy that Mint Mobile is here with us on Dodgers territory. That is Dave Vassegh, looking like the weather in California is perfect as well. Dave, thanks for being with us. Before we get into the meat of it, you were there at the stadium when Shohei created the 50-50 club. You were in the clubhouse for the celebration, although it was timid. You were there. What was that like for you, and what was that moment like?
Well, as the game was unfolding, you're thinking like, oh, man, this guy's actually going to do what we thought he was capable of in this game. Everybody was anticipating, all right, maybe he'll hit one home run in Miami and then break the record in L.A. But for him to do it in that style, I mean, I guess only the great ones do it that way. So it was somewhat surreal to be there to witness history in that magnificent fashion of 6 hits and a triple shy of the cycle and 10 RBIs. I mean, I guess only Ohtani or Aaron Judge could do something like that.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. We saw the baseball, somebody ending up with that number 50 home run ball, did not want the money or the accolades from the Dodgers or whatever it was. Hey, Dave, what would you have done if you ended up with that ball? Would you be holding out? Obviously, you're very closely tied to the team, but this is a game-changing amount of money.
Yeah, if I was that fan with no emotional attachments, I definitely would have leveraged that baseball. No doubt about it. If I'm being honest, I just don't see how you could not. But Ohtani, from what I understand, these baseballs that he hits that are somewhat worth whatever. I've heard that he's happy with keeping the bat, the cleats, and everything else. So it's to him, he's the one that hit it. He has the bat that hit the ball. So to him, he has the batting gloves. From what I heard, he's very happy with that. But obviously, to get that baseball would have been special. I think he has all those bases they keep digging up from every stadium when he steals. So he must have a closet full of bases somewhere, right? 50 bases.
Yeah, I would like to have the.
Some people have a closet. Alanna, you have a closet full of shoes. Ohtani has a closet full of bases.
Well, I want Ohtani's shoes. I want his cleats that had decoy on them that are going to Cooperstown. So that's very, very cool. And Dave, you have a front row seat. You do such a tremendous job as you have from decades covering this team. But Rick Monday, your partner there for AM 570, said that he's never witnessed anything like this. And obviously Mookie Betts said the same thing, that he's just watching it like a fan. He just has a better seat than most of us. I mean, can we just sit back and appreciate what this guy is doing? Or should we just sit back, I should say?
I feel like we should. The critics out there will say that, oh, he's only a DH, or others will say he's not clutch. Well, yesterday he was pretty clutch, coming up with a game-tying home run in the ninth inning. He already has hit a walk-off grand slam, so it feels like, there are less holes to poke at Ohtani. And when Rick Monday says something like that, forget about what I think or what a current player thinks. This guy's seen a lot of baseball since he was drafted in 1965, and it's hard to argue with that. Some might say, from a Dodger perspective, Shawn Green's 19 total bases in Milwaukee would be right up there. But come on, Shawn Green, that was May. He wasn't going for 50 home runs. He wasn't going for 50 stolen bases. That was a great performance, but not on the level of this.
I'll get you one. I know you've already kind of addressed it online. The team has sort of addressed it, but we know how much we could trust them at times. One last one on Shohei. Is he pitching for the team in October?
I've been told the chances of that are very, very unlikely. My understanding is the Dodgers are having a meeting, either if it wasn't happening yesterday, because I saw some of the principals that would be in on those meetings at the stadium yesterday morning. They are going to have a meeting about whether or not Ohtani is going to be allowed to continue his throwing program, because at the beginning of this season, they said they would shut it down as the playoffs began. But I'm starting to there's obviously some pause on that, maybe to allow him to continue throwing. And I would imagine after 7 bullpen sessions, he's getting closer to throwing to hitters, which will create all the rumors and the hysteria again that he's getting ready for the playoffs, which I understand the chances are 1 to 10% that he pitches in the postseason. And the Japanese media that has covered Ohtani since he was in high school told me he probably wants to pitch, but not on the NLDS stage or the NLCS stage. He wants the biggest stage, the World Series stage, if the Dodgers got there.
Interesting. I for one like the lower percentage because I don't want Ohtani pitching this year. I think that save him for next year. A lot of people say if he's ready and he's healthy, but the intrinsic risk I just don't think is worth it. Let's switch to Dave Vassegh, roster construction extraordinaire. What are you doing as far as this outfield is concerned? If you're having to, do it based on offensive production, defensive efficiency. Let's just start with the outfield, Dave. Who is the starting outfield come postseason time?
I'm going Teoscar Hernandez in left, Tommy Edman in center, and Mookie Betts in right field, and Miguel Rojas playing shortstop. And then, if there's a certain righty that they feel like there's a matchup for Kevin Kiermaier, I would consider Kiermaier. I would consider Kiermaier late in games for defense as well. If you have a 2 or 3 run lead. But yeah, for the most part, that's my starting outfield.
Okay,
Yeah,
fair.
it seems like they got a little bit of a roster crunch, or I mean, there's not a little bit. There is a big decision on their hand. It looks like it's somewhere between that Kevin Kiermaier, maybe Andy Pages, and a little bit of Chris Taylor. If you're kind of putting your Dodger front office cap on, who do you think the odd man out ends up being?
Well, Chris Taylor's in. I mean, he's on this roster for October, right? They went through another below par season for Chris Taylor because they know what he's capable of in the biggest of games. So Chris Taylor's on for me. And like you said, it's going to come down to matchups. If the Dodgers are going to face a team that has a lot of lefties coming out of the bullpen, then Andy Pages probably makes the roster. If there's a team that only has one lefty on their staff or maybe two, then probably Kevin Kiermaier makes the team. Remember, you can change your roster every round. So when it comes down to those two guys, it probably is going to come down to matchups. And in a short series, you probably can carry one extra position player because you don't need as many pitchers in a 5-game series.
And let's be honest, Dave, this Dodgers starting staff is decimated by injury. I'm worried about what I see so far. Yamamoto, inefficient, most recent outing, 35 pitches in that first inning. What was your biggest takeaway? And is there any pause for you going into the postseason with Yama?
No, I don't think so. The only pause is I would love for Yamamoto to be pushed to pitch on regular rest,
Yeah.
which is considered short rest for him. Without Glass now, they need Yamamoto to be that guy.
Yes.
And I don't know if he's capable of doing that or not, but I would love to see him step up to that challenge. So as far as yesterday goes, it was a disappointing start, no doubt about it. And when he has starts like that, it's even more disappointing because of the Dodgers kind of acquiescing to the schedule all season long, and then you get a clunker like that. When you bend over backwards for a pitcher, extra days rest, everything that comes with it, and you get 3 innings and a big start, that's what makes it even more frustrating.
Such a good point.
So we feel we have if the postseason start right now. You have 4 guys that most likely are your 4 starters in a postseason series with Yamamoto, Flaherty in some order, Buehler, and it feels like Landon Knack at the moment. But there is a Clayton Kershaw-sized elephant in the room. We know he's doing everything he can to build up at this point. Will he be ready for an NLDS series, and what role is kind of being set up for Clayton?
Yeah, well, I don't bet against the great ones, and he's doing everything possible to keep his arm moving so he is ready. If his left big toe starts to cooperate and heal, that's why it's even more vital for the Dodgers to win the West this year, to give guys like Kershaw, Flaherty, Yamamoto, all these guys, those 5 days rest to give them an opportunity to possibly come back. So that's a long shot right now for him to be ready in the NLDS, from what I understand. That left big toe is not allowing him to push off to leverage the mound rubber. I know we've seen him throw bullpen sessions, but he's just kind of falling, from what I understand, instead of really pushing off because that left big toe won't allow him. But like I said, I wouldn't count against the great ones. I mean, his determination to be able to pitch in the postseason at this stage of his career, I wish other guys with a very thinner resume would take note of what he's doing and really caring as much for the team as he does.
That's a good point that you bring up about the extra rest. I think we've had this conversation 1,000 times. Would you want the extra rest, or do you want to just go and keep playing because of momentum? Let me ask you this, Dave. Knowing that the Dodgers have been eliminated in the first round by division opponents, would you prefer that they be the number 1 seed and get a division opponent? Or would you prefer a different seeding perhaps and get the winner of, if it were to end today, coming into our show, the way that the postseason bracket looks, would you rather play the winner of the Diamondbacks Mets, or would you rather play the winner of the Brewers and Diamondbacks? Sorry, so Diamondbacks, Brewers, or Mets, Padres? What's your preference?
Oof. I don't want to see the Padres in the first round. I'll tell you that right now.
Amen.
If I'm the Dodgers, you don't. Yeah. I just talked to Ryan McMahon of the Rockies. He was telling me that the Padres are the most dangerous team going into the National League playoffs. And I feel like everybody feels that way. They're the hottest team in baseball right now. They're built for October. They have a great bullpen. Their starting pitching is healthy now with Musgrove and Yu Darvish to go along with Michael King. So, yeah, you don't want to see the Padres. And it kind of looks like the Dodgers are going to be the number 2 seed anyway. So pick your poison on that. But what would have been ideal for the Dodgers is for the Diamondbacks and Padres to knock them, fight each other out. And then you don't have to see the chances of seeing 2 division opponents, because Dave Roberts has even said both those teams are very familiar with the way the Dodgers attack their hitters.
Yeah, with this series, I mean, it looks like a mismatch on paper when it comes to the starting pitchers lined up, but we know good things can happen with the Dodgers sometimes. They just need to kind of get it up early against the Padres. Biggest series of the year for the team, yes or no?
Yeah, of course. This series is going to decide who wins the NL West. And the Padres own the tiebreaker. So it says 3 games in the standings, but it's really 2 for the Dodgers, because similar to 2006, the Padres and Dodgers each ended the season with 3 straight wins. The Padres and Dodgers were tied at the end of that season, and the Padres won the division because of the tiebreaker. So, yes, no doubt about it. This is the biggest series of the season. The Dodgers just need 2 wins in this series to win the West.
One more I'll add to that. Is this the most important start for Landon Knack in terms of where he slots in for this team in the postseason?
Biggest start of his life. Biggest start of his life tomorrow. I mean, really, he made his debut this season. There's no biggest start of his life tomorrow. And another reason why, Yamamoto's schedule when he came back from the IL was to set up him pitching in the NLDS. The Dodgers obviously were very confident they were going to win this division, and they're still in the driver's seat, so it may not hurt them that Yamamoto pitched yesterday and not in this series. But that's why yesterday's win was so big on so many different levels. A 2-game lead over the Padres going into this series, losing 2 out of 3 to the Rockies, and also not having Yamamoto available for a possible wild card series and also the Padres series. That's why yesterday's win, I said on Dodger Talk after the game, was so huge on so many different levels.
And you're spot on with that. Dave, before we let you go, does Joe Kelly make the Dodgers postseason roster?
Of course he does. He is back better than ever, Alanna.
Really? You think so? Just because of yesterday?
No. During his time on the IL, he found the magic cure to his arm fatigue and arm issues. I'm not at liberty to say, but if you watch him, the way he's pitching, he's throwing a boxer's punch again like he did back in 2018. Joe Kelly's back. It's for real.
2018. Okay. Oh, Boston Red Sox Joe Kelly. All right. Dave Vassegh, we appreciate you very much as always. Thanks for the insight. Nobody covers this team better than you. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks for being with us. Thanks. Joe Kelly's just not another pretty face, Alanna. I agree. He'll be there. And either are you. Either are you. Not just another pretty face. Look at all the stuff going on between the ears. Dave Vassegh of AM 570. We'll talk to you soon. Back in a second after a quick word from AJ Pierzynski, Scott Braun, Eric Kratz on Orgain.
We're looking for real ways to boost our nutrition and just found a protein shake that actually tastes amazing. It's called Orgain, and it's been a game changer.
Orgain is the leader in real protein-powered nutrition that understands that being good for you doesn't have to taste bad. It's the organic ingredients we're looking for, but I don't want a grainy battle with my taste buds every day. You know what I'm saying? It's giving smooth milkshake vibes. That's Orgain, and they have a brand new 30-gram complete protein shake that offers protein-packed real nutrition designed to satisfy your cravings without all the sugar.
It gives me energy, provides muscle support, and helps manage hunger too. It's also made without soy ingredients and made with no artificial flavors or sweeteners.
Orgain 30-gram protein shakes are available at Costco and Orgain.com. If you want to get in on the delicious protein-packed nutrition today, head to Orgain.com/FOUL and use the code FOUL for 20% off your order. Once again, that's Orgain.com/FOUL for 20% off. And make sure you use promo code FOUL so they know FT sent you.
All right, time now for Last Licks, where we showcase a pup that is in need of adoption. Meet Louie. This little guy was found abandoned in a park in Los Angeles. He followed a woman home to her home, and she was able to bring him in and kept him in her backyard. Unfortunately, her husband's very allergic, so they could not bring him indoors. So we're setting him up with the foster home, but he needs an adopter. He's approximately 7 years old. We are scheduling him for his neuter surgery. He's healthy. He's a good boy. Takes up very little space. He's 11 pounds, 7 years old. So if you're interested in learning more about Louie, please hit us up, Guidry'sGuardian.org, or hit me up on social media. All right, Clint, let me ask you this on our baseball thought for the road before we get to what's coming up on your show tonight. Postseason ends today. Let's just say, okay, coming into our show, the way that the bracket looks is that the Dodgers would be the number 1 seed. The Phillies would be the number 2 seed, although the Phillies do have the tiebreaker. Who would you rather play? The last 2 years, we've been bounced by a division opponent. So would you rather play Mets or Brewers? Would you rather play Diamondbacks or Padres?
Well, I fully agree with Mr. Vassegh there. I don't, and I think all of us feel this. I do not want to see the Padres in the first round. I think it's also just bad for baseball. Give them the full 7-game slate to make it something memorable. But if any of those teams, I will take the Dodgers against the Brewers anytime, just because history shows the Dodgers have played the Brewers very well, especially in the postseason. Not taking anything away from that organization, but still. Get me the Brew Crew anytime. Second is probably the Mets, even though they're doing pretty well right now. But just do not let me see the Padres. Please,
I don't want to see the Padres. I don't want to see the Mets, and I don't want to see the Tigers. If we were in the American League, I wouldn't want to see the Tigers. Let me ask you this: do you think there's any advantage to being the 2 seed over the 1 seed?
I mean, at this point, it feels like it's the same exact thing. The only thing is, if you end up playing the Phillies in the LCS, you would get home field advantage if you're that number 1 seed. But just make sure you have one of those top 2 seeds. That's the most important thing for this club. You can control your destiny. Make sure you win the NL West, and make sure you have the top 2, one of the top 2 records in the National League. Then from there, pray. I don't know what you do. Cross your fingers. Whatever you need to do, pray to Jobu. Whatever you believe in, believe it harder, just so the team can, at bare minimum, get out of the first round this year.
All right, so pray to Jobu. No sacrificing of any chickens, though. We don't condone any of that. What's coming up on All Dodgers with Clint Pasillas? A fresh show for you tonight.
Yes, ma'am. We will be going live during the Monday Night Football, but don't worry, you guys got plenty of devices to tube in, jump into the comments. Should be a lot of comments, interaction on the show tonight. We'll be talking about more postseason. I'm going to be diving into Dave Vassegh saying that Joe Kelly found something there, because I got some problems with Joe Kelly as well, who's allowed runs in 10 of 34 appearances this season, and 8 of 14 inherited runners have scored on Joe Kelly. I do not think he's the best option. But there's also a lot of pieces. Hey, where does Tony Gonsolin fit? A lot of stuff. Tube in. We got an hour to talk about it on All Dodgers with Clint Pasillas tonight.
Your rocket ship to the moon continues to increase in size as far as the amount of seats that you need, of guys that you want to ship to the moon. All right, make sure you tube in and listen to what Clint's got going on All Dodgers. We have a fresh new show coming up for you on Thursday afternoon, of course, at noon Pacific, 3 Eastern. We'll talk all about the Dodgers and Padres series and what will be the 3rd game of that series on Thursday. We appreciate you being with us. Make sure you like us, subscribe, and we'll see you on Thursday. Take good care. Go Dodgers.
Bye.